So, students, I think we have Professor Sahil Mehra and Professor Tahir Ahmed, who teach economics at the School of Arts and Sciences at Sai University, right? So, over to you, Professor.
Is it visible to everyone?
Yes.
All right. So let me introduce myself. As Naliappan sir has already introduced, I'm Sahil Mehra. I am an assistant professor at School of Arts and Sciences, Sai University. And so I've been teaching courses on the required courses and various electives. So we'll go over what kind of courses we offer at Sai University. A little background. I did my PhD from South Asian University, New Delhi. And most of my training has been in economics from Gokul Institute of Politics and Economics from Pune and Delhi University. So, without further ado, let's get to what we're here for. And a very warm welcome to everyone for this webinar on the economics at Sai University. So given that you have joined this webinar, so I assume that you are already interested to some extent on to know what is economics, or you're interested to study economics, or maybe you have had some brush with the discipline of economics in your school. So if you're interested and if you want to further study this course forward, then that so today we are going to present on the basic structure of how the majors and minors in the economics the economics majors and minors are designed at Sai University, and what you can expect to learn, what kind of subjects you can expect to uh, take in your time at Sai University. So even then, even if you're interested, I'll just go over these broad terms that one is confronted with or deals with in daily life: economics, economy, inflation, employment, unemployment, budget, fiscal deficit, profit. I mean, there now we are from no matter which news channel or which news daily we read, or whatever analysis or whichever uh, aspect of the world we are trying to understand, economics becomes the foundational subject sort of to have a broader understanding of what is going on around the world. And so if we could go to the next slide, Professor. Thank you. So what is economics? Now, what kind of questions do you think we will deal with when we are studying the subject of economics? Now, economics in itself is a very broad discipline. So it includes various courses like microeconomics, macroeconomics, development economics, and so on. So we ask, we start with a broader understanding of economics, like what is economics, what is economy, how do we understand economy? It is so at our university, the first class is mostly about the discussion on what is economics and what is economy, and we discuss that it's how people in the society organize themselves to produce goods, to distribute goods and services, and to consume goods and services. So these are the three fundamental aspects of understanding how an economy works: production, distribution, and consumption. So that is how we start. These are the building blocks that we teach in the fundamental courses like microeconomics and macroeconomics. So, for example, how is production organized? So, if a firm starts up the production, then how does it decide how much to produce, what to produce, and where to sell? What determines the distribution of the commodities and wealth in the economy? How are the prices determined of the commodities determined? How are the incomes, the wages of the people determined? How are the profits determined? So all these aspects we do get into. What factors influence consumption behavior of individuals? How do economies grow and develop? So these are the broader aspects that one gets into. Uh, and then we also ask some fundamentally deep questions: that why does, even if the economies are growing and developing, why does the poverty and inequality exist side by side along with the growth and development and so on? So Professor, if you could move on to the next slide. So it is not so. economics is fundamental to everything, and currently, even more so, no matter which issue we look at around the world, economics becomes the basic of understanding that. Be it inequality, be it poverty, be it climate change. Though climate change is a scientific uh, problem, it is a problem that affects the levels of carbon emissions, sulfur dioxide, methane, etc., which changes the chemical balance of the environment and the nature around us. But how to deal with the environmental problems. And one of the fundamental aspects is that it is, to a large extent, also this problem of climate change to be understood from the lens of economics. Because given that much of the policies are across the world determined by the economists, be it at the World Bank or United Nations, etc., or even the finance minister of the country or the RBI chief, economics is everywhere. So, how do we understand the issue of climate change through economic lens, and what tools does an economist have in order, if one has to deal with this idea of, or the problem or the issue of climate change? So, at Sai University, we take a broader lens and a more comprehensive approach and understanding economy. We do not see or understand that economy is separate from the society or the environment. Rather, we understand that economy is part of the society. Because as I defined in the very first term, that society, it is economy is how the society organizes itself, creates various institutions so that goods and services can be produced and needs and wants of the people across the society can be fulfilled. So, as you can see in this particular diagram, which is from a book called Macroeconomics by Alex Thomas, so it is where the economy is embedded in the society. Economy doesn't function in a vacuum, and the environment itself creates the broader planetary boundaries within which the economies have to grow, be it developed or underdeveloped nations. Professor Tair, if you could go to the next one. Yeah. So, at Sai University, when we talk about economics, we take a broader approach, as I just mentioned. And if we take a look at this quote by one of the most prominent economists of all time, John Maynard Keynes, who some of you might know was played a most important, a key role in getting the economies during the 1930s depression, to getting the economies out of that uh, depression and helping them grow and prosper over the course of time. This was before the World War II, and the consequences that happened reverberated through World War II and even later on. So, in his words, master economist must possess a rare combination of gifts. He must reach a high standard in several different directions and combine talents not often found together. He must be a mathematician, historian, statesman, philosopher in some degree. He must understand symbols and speak in words. He must contemplate the particular in terms of the general and touch the abstract and concrete in the same flight of thought. He must study the present in the light of the past for the purposes of the future. So, given that we take a broader approach, and I'll show you the kinds of courses that we teach in economics, which cater to the students who have different kinds of interests. So, a lot of students I know get those who do not have a background in mathematics get very anxious uh, choose a subject like economics, because then mathematics becomes a fundamental sort of a language in which certain economic concepts and relationships are determined and understood. So from that perspective, I would say that at Sai University, first and foremost, I should dispel these fears that we do not assume that people who did not have mathematics background will be able to, uh, we try to accommodate, we try to change the curriculum, we try to adjust the teaching method in the classroom such that people who do not have the mathematics background are also able to understand economics, and those who have background in economics can apply that language to further their interest in economics. And based on this particular understanding, based on the understanding that economics, discipline of economics not only requires proficiency in mathematics, but also good sort of an understanding of the history, because as George Orwell, the author of 1984 novel, once wrote that those who control the history control the present, and those who control the present control the future. And as Keynes has also highlighted, that we must study the present in light of the past for the purposes of the future. So, from that very perspective, we not only, in order to be good economists, we not only need to understand the history, but also the philosophy behind it, and everything can be expressed in the terms of mathematics. Because within the discipline of economics, we treat mathematics as a tool, because the name of the course that we teach is also known as uh, the mathematical tools for economics. So mathematics is just another language in which economic concepts and relationships can be determined. So based on this particular broader understanding and a broader approach that we take at Sai University, we offer three different kinds of majors based on the interest of the people. For example, BA honors in economics that purely looks into economics, but then students can select minors either in computer science, psychology, literature, philosophy, psychology, international relations, and so on. So that in economics can also be the what they learn in economics can also, that knowledge can be applied towards understanding other subjects, for example, psychology, international relations, and so on. And whatever courses, what minors they select in terms of psychology and international relations or computer science can also be applied to economics. So it is not that we take these subjects and disciplines in silos, rather, we understand the interdependence and the complementary relation these different subjects have with each other. So, we the second major we have is BA in Economics and International Relations, and then Politics, Philosophy, Economics. So, one might ask this question: why is psychology important for economics, or why international relations? But if one understands, if one has studied economics, or if I might introduce you one or two concepts of economics, like producer behavior or consumer behavior, as I mentioned in the very first slide, then these very terms and concepts mean that within these concepts of economics, we have this understanding, a silent sort of an understanding of psychology as well, because we are talking about the behavior of the individual and the consumer. Uh, uh, why is philosophy important for economics? Because philosophy is an important subject that not only underpins how the subject of economics came into being, but also what is the underlying philosophy of economics, as well as how to ask the right questions within the domain of economics. Professor Tyler, if we could move on to the next slide. Thank you. So just to give you a broad picture of what courses we offer at Sai University. So there are some foundation or required courses. If one is doing a major in economics, then they have to do these courses. These are required courses that they have to do, which is statistics for economics, mathematical tools for economics, principles of economics. So principles of economics is basically a subject that introduces you to basic microeconomics and macroeconomics, but also for the people who might have studied this in their school level, this also builds on that basic understanding that they have gained at the school level, and also provides a more advanced version of, and from a different perspective. Then foundations of economics. Foundations of economics basically, as we were mentioning in the last slide, about the history, about the philosophy, foundations of economics becomes the core subject because here we teach the history of economic thought, how the understanding of economics itself has evolved over time, starting from the time going back to Ibn Khaldun or Arthashastra. So we bring in their ideas of what how they understood economics, how those ideas have evolved over time with the domination of Western idea of economics by Adam Smith, then moving to Karl Marx, John Maynard Keynes, and uh, institutional economics. So we introduce the history of economic thought as well as try to provide this broader understanding that how economics itself has evolved and arrived at a place where we are today. Then, apart from that, we then building on the course of principles of economics, we offer advanced versions of microeconomics and macroeconomics. Then we go into the details of the Indian economic history, starting from the pre-colonial era to after in the post-colonial after independence period, where we look at how the Indian economy has developed so far, what have been the major drivers of that growth over time, what are the factors that inhibit that process of growth and development for the Indian economy, and how does the future look for Indian economy, where we not only look at how it has evolved over history, but also apply our understanding from microeconomics, macroeconomics, and mathematics and statistics on understanding Indian economy. And that is how the research flourishes. So the last and most important course that is required is the politics and economics of environment, as I was mentioning in the very first slide. Uh, these are the major concerns that that we face in our current conjuncture, current situation. And this is something that needs to be dealt with at a very faster rate. And we had this course on politics and economics of environment that gives you a broad picture of how an economist deals with it, how an economist understands the issue of climate change, global warming, what are the tools that the economists have, what are the how does that interact with the political situation, and what solutions might we have in future. Now, apart from these foundation courses, we also offer certain electives like development economics, which looks into the various theories of growth and development that have been sort of advanced since the World War II. Because most of the economies that became independent after World War II wanted to grow and develop. So this sort of this course development economics provides a basis, sort of a foundation for understanding various theories, various lenses, various perspectives from which this issue of growth and development can be understood. And of course, it can further be applied to modern Indian economy. So you see, there is always an interaction and interconnection between the subjects. We offer other electives also, political economy, game theory, and there are some introduction to data analytics, R, Stata, hands-on approach, which complements the courses on statistics for economics and mathematics for economics. So broadly, I can say that at Sai University, economics not only uh, has a interdisciplinary approach, that is we do not restrict to just economics but also in motivate our students to explore other subjects that might have direct relevance for economics. And also we we not only do interdisciplinarity but also focus on pluralism in economics. That means we so at interdisciplinary level, we look at economics interacting with other subjects and how other subjects might prove useful for economics. For example, someone doing BTech, someone doing computer and data science, being trained in various kinds of machine learning and data analytics softwares and tools. And if that person also has, say, important, also studies a subject like economics, then this combination is, I would say, truly valued in the industry, where you can apply those tools, the knowledge of the tools, your hands-on approach on working with the large data, and you have these economic concepts, your economic understanding of the way economy works, and you combine the two, and that is the most valued sort of position in which one can be right now. For example, given that if you have these tools and you apply to the issues of climate change and so on, then it will truly be beneficial. Uh, Professor Tahir, if we could move on to the next slide. Uh, So, in terms of the graduation requirement, someone doing a major in economics would be required to do minimum 13 courses, out of which 8 are the required courses, which I just mentioned: Foundations of Economics, Applied Mathematical Tools for Economics, Principles, Indian Economy, Probability and Statistics, Microeconomics, Macroeconomics, and Environment. And then they will have various choice of taking elective courses in economics, or these credits can also be covered by taking some courses in other disciplines that can be cross listed, that can be counted towards major. Yes. And those who opt to choose a minor in economics, they will have to complete a minimum of 6 courses for 24 credits, where four are the required courses at 4 credits each. So these will be the courses that you have to do, which are the foundations, principles of economics, environment economics, and modern Indian economy. For students who would be doing BTech, for example, would be exempted from doing a course on mathematics, because they will anyway be doing much more advanced version of mathematics. So we just have few classes where we have where we introduce how to. So even though you might have done mathematics, but how do you then when you apply this knowledge to economics, then how do you interpret those equations in economic terms? So that is something where we come in and teach you that how to interpret those equations, those models, what are the implications of those models in terms of the economics. And so they will have the choice of elective courses in economics apart from that, which is applied probability. One route is to choose econometrics and so on. And the other route would be to choose like core economic courses, core advanced economic courses, which are microeconomics 2 and macroeconomics 2. So this is where I pass on the key to Professor Tahir. He will be talking about what are the job opportunities and career opportunities after doing VA Economics honors. Over to you, Professor Tahir.
Hello. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. So, I'll briefly talk about what kind of opportunities are available currently in the market once you have some background in economics as part of your undergraduation education. Okay. Uh, so the different things one can do. So for instance, broadly it opens up a lot of research opportunities, and within research opportunities there are different kinds of institutions and there are different kinds of work one can do. So for instance, if someone is more interested in working in development sector, by development sector, what do we mean by development sector? So dealing with things like poverty, inequality, climate change. So all of these things broadly come under development sector, and then one can join the research team of non-government organizations or corporate social responsibility initiatives or policy and governance research think tanks, etc. If So that is one path in terms of research. So if one is more interested joining the research team but different kind of institutions like corporate sector, so accordingly one can think of the specific areas that they're interested in within the corporate sector. For instance, you want to become a research analyst, or you want to do dwell more into, say, finance related roles, etc. So one can take that path as well in terms of research. So other than that, one can also think of journalist roles where you focus more on public policy and public finance. So for instance,
when you read the newspapers, every day we end up seeing something related to inflation, or some economist or public policy specialist talking about how this policy has worked or did not work, what does it mean for the people, etc. So all those kind of research work, putting in terms of putting in terms of in a way that everyone understands. So that is one route where you can bring your expertise, break down things, and explain it to common people, so that they understand what is happening, what is government doing, etc. Okay, so then otherwise one can also think of different different government jobs where economics might give you an upper hand. So that is one route. And these days, once you have economics background, then as one of our electives are introduction to R and Stata, or if you are someone who has BTech background, and you have done some courses in economics, so then you can think of data analytic courses, data analytic jobs, where you can bring together your skills and theory both together, in your role. So these are broadly some of the opportunities that are available, say, after your graduation, like bachelor's. But in economics, once you have bachelor's in economics, that will give you some idea of what economics is, and what kind of economics, economic schools, like school of thoughts, are available. So for instance, that is one of the thing that for instance, the foundations of economics, so those kind of courses will tell you that economics is not something that can be defined in a particular way. It will tell you to different kinds of opportunities. So based on that, if one is interested, they can pursue masters in economics and continue to pursue PhD in economics. That will open different kind of opportunities. Or if someone doesn't want to pursue PhD, one can pursue masters. So having a masters in economics will again, in terms of the nature of opportunities will be similar to the opportunities that one can expect of the bachelor's, but the level of opportunities will increase drastically. And in fact, you'll have more opportunities, given that you have more expertise and experience in economics. So for instance, working with international organizations, development organizations like UN, World Bank, etc., then appearing for administrative services like Indian Economic Service, etc., then also applying to government institutions which require specialization in economics, like for instance, working with RBI, Ministry of Finance, etc. And there is also, as I said earlier, within the corporate sector, one can always join the corporate social responsibility wing and see what they want to do there. Okay, yeah. So, and when I so these and the research NGOs and corporate sector, it's not a blanket opportunity, in the sense that within that you have to choose what is that what is that interests you to work. Okay, I'll talk about different kinds of areas that are available in a bit. So as I mentioned earlier, these are some of the international development organizations where prominent economics work with different issues depending upon what the institution is. So we have ILO, International Labor Office, and I'm sure all of you know UNDP, United Nations Development Program, which measures different development indicators for all the nations. So having masters and PhD or masters opens up opportunities to these international organizations as well. Okay, and I'm I'm sure some of you would know that in 2019, Abhijit Banerjee, Esther Duflo, with their colleague Michael Kramer, have won 2019 Economics Nobel Prize in 2019. So they work more on issues of development. So, for instance, Abhijit Banerjee and Esther Duflo are associated with JPAL, which works widely in India. So what they try to do is they try to collaborate with governments, NGOs. Then through social experiments, they try to understand how can they improve people's lives in terms of, say, reducing poverty, or say, how do we better the educational outcomes, how do we tackle with say low enrollment rate. So they use social experiments to tackle all of these things. JPAL is one organization, one of the organizations. There are other organizations like ID Insight, Dalberg, etc. They do similar sort of work. And there's a couple of other economists again who are both working as professor at some institution and also associated with other think tanks or international organizations dealing with this development questions. Yeah. Now we'll come to specifics of what kind of work these NGOs or think tanks or research institutions do. So I'll talk. I already spoke about JPAL. So JPAL conducts social experiments to inform the policymakers better. So these are not easy questions. Like for instance, how do we reduce poverty? If that is an easy question, we would have done it long back. So these are always complicated questions, and as the context changes, the answers also change. It's not the same answer for different countries, for instance. Okay, so coming to, I'll briefly talk about another organization, Center for Policy Research. Again, Center for Policy Research also collaborates with different institutions. What it tries to do is to bridge the gap between ideas and policy. So for instance, when you're sitting in an economics class and talking about these development issues, that is very different from, say, you sitting in a government office and deciding what policy should we do to tackle this particular problem. So these kind of institutions, they, through critical research, they try to bridge that gap between the ideas and policy. Okay, so and depending upon the area, there's different institutions. So for instance, you see Shakti Sustainable Energy Foundation, so that is more specializes in climate change and how energy is related to that, and there are other institutions as well, and all of them have their own areas where they specialize in. For instance, Foundation of Agrarian Studies, you see the last second one in the slide. So that conducts surveys in villages and tries to understand how the economic opportunities and social fabric has been changing over time, etc. And to mention few of the areas, just to give a sense. So as I already mentioned, so one is poverty, educate, how to improve educational outcomes, etc. So then also there are other things like, for instance, agriculture. How do we understand agriculture sector in India? How do we understand the urbanization and the ill effects of urbanization? How do we improve state capacity? How do we understand the health sector in India? How much the government is spending on health, education? So these are different areas in which these institutions focus. So once you have some foundation in economics, so then you will be in a better position to see what is that interests you and what kind of research you want to do. So then you'll be able to select. Of course, this is not an exhaustive list. This is just a representative sample. Okay, and these are a couple of other prominent institutions. Now coming to another sector that is booming in the recent past. So far we've been talking about mostly NGOs or think tanks, etc. Another interesting sector that is booming in the recent past is both development consulting, which is so when governments want to implement a policy, they will basically ask corporate sector to like to inform them how can we do this policy, what is the efficient or the best way to roll out this program so that it benefits the maximum people, etc. So along those lines, development consulting, economic consulting, and also political consulting. So these are the emerging fields where you use your economic expertise to better inform government bodies so that that helps in their policy decisions. So that's all. If you have any specific questions about the opportunities, yeah, Professor Sahil and I'll be more than happy to address them. And or any other questions about the curriculum at Sai University in general, economics curriculum. Thank you.
Right, so I think we have some questions in the chat box, so we can start addressing those. So the first is this the first year SIU is introducing economics courses? No, we have been running courses for 3 years. The first batch will be graduating this year, 2024. Second, how does the credit system work at SIU? Seeing only few foundation courses for econ and how it gets to graduation requirements. So in total, one to graduate, say for BA Economics honors, one would have to, in 3 years, get total of 120 credits, out of which around 50 to 55 or 58 should be from economics. Rest of the courses, so for those 58 credits, we have shown in the presentation that there are some required courses, and then you will have options of choosing from various elective courses within the economics. Then, apart from that, given the broader liberal education system and the sort of uh, the interdisciplinary approach that we follow. So in the first year, what you have to do is do various kinds of foundation courses. For example, global challenges or frontiers. Now, what does frontiers like a course like frontiers teach? It basically invites various professors from different fields who have the experience in different fields, expertise in different fields. They come and interact with the students and tell them about the recent work and the research that is going on in those fields in which they have been working. So, like those, there are a number of courses that one can do in the first year. So, in the second year, one has to select their major, which is that one chooses the economics. Then, in the second and third year, one has to do those required courses, electives within economics. And apart from that, you will have the option of, in order to complete your credits, to choose various courses from other disciplines like psychology or mathematics or philosophy and so on. So it is there on the website. I would request you to once go on the website and check it out for yourself. It has the proper year wise what kind of courses will be offered in the first, second, and third year. Then the next question is for those who have done high level economics in IB program, what is your recommendation or minus? So we have students who were part of the IB programs in the school, and so we have various courses that will be building on the knowledge that you have already acquired in your IB program. For example, microeconomics 2, macroeconomics 2. So these will be advanced versions that will build on what you have already studied. And of course, it is not that if the same topic is repeated, that it will be sort of a repetition, not in the sense that it will be completely repeated, but of course, once you come to the undergraduate level, we will introduce you to a lot of its applications and so on. Uh, 52 credits seems to be lower for economic honors. How the course accepted by other universities in India for PG programs? So this is economic honors. So we will have all the basic courses and all the foundational courses that the other universities do. But other universities then offer various electives and various other kinds of courses which are optional and which are required for economic honors. But given the interdisciplinary nature of our courses of the university, we advise students to not only take courses from economics but also from other disciplines and departments. So that is how. Uh, so even though it might seem that 52 credits are low, but in terms of the course, the length and breadth, the courses that we cover, you will be at par with the students of other universities. How the evaluation is done for the minors for BTech students? Uh, so the evaluation system is one can say so we have in one semester, say for one course, we will have three internal assessments and then one final assessment, the end semester exam. So usually how I do that, because I have number of BTech students in my class taking development economics. Currently, I'm teaching development economics and politics and economics of environment. And there are a number of BTech students in my class. And so I usually ask my students to do a sort of a report, prepare a report where they not only look at the theories that have been taught in the class, but also to supplement those theories by taking various data from the websites available, the data that is available, and do some kind of data analysis as in sort of. Basically, that teaches not only the theory but also the application of the theory and to what extent that theory is valid and what those concepts are valid in uh, the current scenario. Please explain about the credit system, how we get max credit and how it works. I think I've just explained. If it's not clear, please let me know. I'll go over it again once again. Oh, can you please tell the credit system of minors in economics? Huh. So this is the credit system of minors. So in order to do minor in economics, you have to do complete 24 credits, out of which six courses, which constitute total of six courses, because each course is of 4 credits. And out of these 24 credits, 20 credits have to be in terms of the required courses. And then you will have uh, sort of more choice of elective courses in economics. So, for example, if you do 8 credits in your elective courses in economics, then total will turn out to be 28, and you will be able to cover more number of courses and fulfill your basic credit requirements for minor as well as for credit requirements to graduate as an honors. Professor Tahir, would you like to add something to any of the questions?
Yeah, no, everything is good. Thank you.
Any
Students,
other?
yeah,
Yeah.
students, if you have any more questions, you can very well ask in the Q&A session. If you wish to talk to the professor, we can enable you. If you can raise your hand, we can enable. Any more questions? I think that would be it, professors. I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you for your one. It was a wonderful session. I think there were more questions also being asked. Thanks for being patient and answering all those questions. It was a wonderful session.
So
Thank.
if I would say that if the students, prospective students have more questions, they can approach like through
Yeah,
emails
yeah.
also. We
So
will
if you have
be
any more
more
questions
than
or if you have any personal questions to be asked, I think specifically regarding economics or as a major or a minor, you can very well connect with the admissions team or with your concerned counselors. They will map you to professors and you can very well contact. Okay.
yeah. And if any doubts, we can clear those.
Sure, sure. I think
All
then
right.
that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Tahir. Yeah, thank you.